Alright, Reddit. Buckle the hell up. This isn't just another war story. This is Kiev 2025. The special military operation isn't so special anymore. Just grinding, brutal trench warfare punctuated by terrifying tech. Think drones that hunt like pissed-off hornets, jamming so thick your fillings vibrate, and streets where concrete blooms into shrapnel flowers. I'm Ivan, territorial defense, and this is how I learned hope isn't a feeling, it's a goddamn weapon you have to wield. We called our sector the Molars, a shattered district of high-rises near the Dnipro, chewed up by artillery and stubbornly held tooth by tooth. My unit, me, my little sister, Anya, fierce as a wolverine, smarter than any drone, and Marco, a grizzled ex-tanker who smelled permanently of diesel and regret. We were ghosts in the gray, moving through skeletal buildings, setting traps, calling in corrections. Then he showed up. Liam, tall, sandy-haired, wearing a faded U.S. Army jacket over mismatched Ukrainian camo. Said he was volunteering. From Ohio. Had that wide-eyed look new guys get, mixed with a terrifying competence with anything electronic. Heard you needed drone jockeys who don't freeze when the EW starts screaming, he'd said, tapping a custom-built control rig slung across his chest. Anya raised an eyebrow. Marco grunted. I just hoped he wouldn't get us killed. Action came fast. A Russian probing attack, not infantry, but swarmas. New nightmare tech. Dozens of palm-sized, AI-driven kamikaze drones, zipping through ruins like metallic wasps, seeking heat signatures. They took out our forward lookout post before we even got a shot off. Liam, can you jam them? Anya yelled, already sighting her rifle down a corridor buzzing with death. Working on it. Liam crouched behind a collapsed bookshelf, fingers flying over his rig. A high-pitched whine erupted from his pack. Some swarmas wobbled, dropped like stones. Others adapted, splitting into smaller groups, darting erratically. They're learning. Shit. Marco opened up with his PKM, the heavy thudding a counterpoint to the swarma's angry buzz. Concrete dust rained down. One drone detonated inches from his position, showering him with debris. He roared, kept firing. Anya, left flank, third floor window. I spotted the controller, a human operator guiding the swarm from relative safety. Anya didn't hesitate. A single, precise crack from her Dragunov. The distant window exploded. The swarmas faltered, confused. Liam seized the opening. He unleashed a focused EMP pulse from his rig, a risky move that could fry our own gear. The remaining swarmas dropped dead. Silence, thick and sudden, broken only by Marco coughing dust. Liam looked up, sweat streaking the grime on his face. He gave Anya a shaky thumbs up. Nice shot. That was the moment we stopped seeing him as the Yank and started seeing him as Liam. He'd earned his spot in the Molars. Command sent new orders. Urgent. High-value intel suggested the Russians were moving a new type of ECM, electronic countermeasures, unit into a heavily fortified position beneath the old Kornabil exclusion zone admin building, a grim Soviet-era monolith on the edge of our sector. This unit wasn't just jamming. It was actively hijacking our drone feeds, turning our eyes against us. It needed to go. Yesterday. The catch? It was buried deep, accessible only through a maze of partially collapsed service tunnels running under the irradiated zone. Geiger counters were mandatory. The air tasted metallic, wrong. Recon by fire, Marco grunted, studying the schematics Liam had somehow pulled from the depths of the internet. Send in a drone, map the tunnels, find the unit. Too risky, Anya countered. Their hijack is sophisticated. They'll see it coming, turn it around. We need boots. Quiet boots. Liam tapped his rig. What if I send my drone but piggyback a secondary signal? A tiny, low-power bot Anya could control manually once we're close? They'll see the primary, might not spot the stowaway. It was crazy. Brilliantly crazy. We prepped at dusk. Liam's main drone, a sleek, carbon fiber quadcopter, would fly a noisy, obvious path, acting as bait. Taped underneath, almost invisible, was Anya's modified micro-drone. No bigger than a sparrow. We infiltrated the tunnel entrance near a crumbling cooling tower, the shadows long and ominous. The Geiger counter's staccato click was our morbid metronome. Liam launched the drones. The quadcopter buzzed loudly down the main shaft. Almost immediately, our comms crackled with interference. "They're locked on," Liam whispered, eyes glued to his flickering screen, feeding it false data. "Now Anya, go." Anya switched her tablet to the microdrone feed. Grainy, green-tinged night vision filled the screen. She navigated silently through a side vent, the tiny drone slipping past patrolling Russian engineers oblivious to the decoy buzzing overhead. We watched, breath held, as the microdrone zipped through labyrinthine corridors, finally emerging into a large, humming chamber filled with racks of blinking electronics. The ECM unit. "Got it," Anya breathed, planting the beacon. The microdrone extended a tiny manipulator, attaching a magnetic homing beacon to the main console. Success. We were pulling back, spirits cautiously high, when Marco froze. He held up a hand. Faint voices, speaking Russian, echoed from a side tunnel ahead of us. We were cut off. Ambush. They poured out of the darkness, not regular infantry, but Spetsnaz, silent and lethal in black gear. They'd known we were coming. How? Gunfire erupted, muzzle flashes blinding in the confined space. Marco went down hard, clutching his leg. Anya dragged him behind a collapsed pipe, returning fire. Liam dropped his rig, pulling out a sidearm, his face pale but determined. I emptied a magazine down the tunnel, forcing them back momentarily. "We need to move. Now," I yelled. Anya pointed frantically at Liam's abandoned control rig. The homing beacon signal was pulsing, but so was another signal, faint but distinct, emitting from Liam's jacket. Liam followed her gaze, horror dawning on his face. "No, no way, that jacket. I bought it off a guy in Lviv months ago. It must have a tracker sewn in." Betrayal not by Liam but by a piece of clothing. The Russians had found their way in through black market gear. The Spetsnaz regrouped, advancing. We were pinned. Marco was bleeding badly. The Geiger counter clicked faster. We were running out of time, air, and options. "Go!" Marco rasped, shoving a grenade into my hand. "Take the kids. Get the coordinates out. I'll hold them." "No, old man," Anya screamed. "Go, damn you," Marco roared, propping himself up and unleashing a torrent of fire from his PKM. It was the worst kind of choice. Leave a brother to die or all die here. Tears stung my eyes. Liam grabbed Anya's arm. "He's buying us a chance. Move." We ran. Not back the way we came, but deeper into the unknown tunnels, following Anya's microdrone feed still active on her tablet. Marco's PKM thundered behind us, then stopped abruptly, replaced by the sharp crack of Spetsnaz weapons, and finally, the deafening crump of the grenade. The tunnel shook. Dust choked us. We didn't look back. We ran blind, guided only by the faint green glow of the tablet and the increasingly frantic clicking of the Geiger counter. The air grew thicker, harder to breathe. We stumbled past warning signs, faded Cyrillic screaming radiation. We burst out of a service hatch not into the night, but into the surreal, overgrown heart of Pripyat, bathed in the eerie glow of a half-moon filtering through decaying apartment blocks. Nature was reclaiming the dead city, vines choking rusted playgrounds. But we weren't alone. The Spetsnaz had anticipated our escape route. A squad emerged from the skeletal remains of a school, cutting us off from the relative safety of the forest beyond. We dove behind a moss-covered bus stop, bullets pinging off the concrete. "We're sitting ducks," Liam gasped. Anya looked at her tablet, then at the massive, decaying structure looming nearby, the reactor for sarcophagus. A monstrous tomb. "Liam, can your main drone still fly? Even partially?" Liam checked his secondary monitor. "Barely. Controls are glitchy, they fried most of its systems." "Why? Can you make it fly? Towards the reactor? Make it look like we're running that way? Draw their fire?" Liam understood instantly. A grim smile touched his lips. "Distraction. Yeah. I can make it wobble like it's carrying weight." His fingers danced over the cracked screen. The battered quadcopter, unseen by us but visible on his feed, rose unsteadily from where it had crash-landed near the admin building and buzzed erratically towards the massive sarcophagus. The Spetsnaz took the bait. Shouts echoed. Half the squad peeled off, firing at the drone as it weaved towards the forbidden zone. It bought us precious seconds. Now, to the forest. I hissed. We broke cover, sprinting across an open square towards the treeline. We were almost there when a burst of gunfire erupted from our flank. A Spetsnaz marksman, hidden in a clock tower, had stayed behind. I felt the rounds whip past. Anya cried out, stumbling. Liam didn't hesitate. He shoved Anya behind a crumbling fountain and spun, raising his pistol towards the clock tower. He fired, a futile gesture against a sniper. Crack. Liam jerked backwards, a dark stain blooming high on his chest. He collapsed onto the cracked pavement. Liam! Anya screamed, scrambling towards him. No! Keep going. Liam gasped, blood bubbling at his lips. He fumbled at his jacket pocket, pulling out a small, waterproof case. He thrust it towards me. Cords. Beacon data. Get it out. Tell my mom. Tell her. He coughed, a wet, ragged sound. Tell her it mattered. His eyes, fixed on the polluted Ukrainian sky, went still. The wide-eyed Yank from Ohio was gone. Rage and grief threatened to choke me. Anya sobbed, pulling the data case from his hand. The sniper racked another round. We had no choice. We grabbed Liam's rig, left his body where he fell, and plunged into the dark, radioactive forest. The Spetsnaz momentarily confused by Liam's sacrifice and the drone's path towards the reactor. We ran until our lungs burned and our legs gave out. We found a deep ravine, collapsed under the roots of a massive pine. Dawn was bleeding through the toxic haze when the first Ukrainian drones found us, guided by the homing beacon data Liam had died to retrieve. Extraction was a blur of roaring rotors and grim-faced commandos. The ECM unit was destroyed hours later by a pinpoint Immerse strike. The hijacking stopped. The molars held. Debriefing was hell. Explaining Marco. Explaining Liam. Handing over the data case felt like handing over a piece of Liam's soul. They found his body a week later, retrieved it with honors. They sent his effects back to Ohio. His mom sent a letter. Simple. Heartbreaking. Thank you for being with my boy at the end. He believed in you. It's 2026 now. The war grinds on. Anya is back in the molars, fiercer than ever. A ghost with a sniper rifle. I'm still kicking, still patrolling the shattered teeth of my city. Sometimes, when the drone buzz gets too loud, I think of Liam's sacrifice in the dead city under a poison moon. I think of Marco's last stand in the dark. I visit the quiet corner of the military cemetery where Liam rests, near Marco. Sunflowers grow wild there now, pushing through the cracked earth. Bright yellow faces turn towards the sky, defiant. We fight for the ground, inch by bloody inch. But guys like Liam, they remind us why. It wasn't just about lines on a map for him. It was about believing the darkness doesn't get to win. About choosing to stand, even when it costs everything. His Ohio heart beats in the soil here now. And every sunflower that pushes through the rubble, that's his echo. That's the weapon hope forges in the fire. Slava Ukraini. Remember Liam.